actually managed to create a structure that looked like a collapsed lung. It's an aerodynamic design, Jack explained, wiping dirt from his forehead as the girls looked on in pity. As night fell, the reality of the wilderness set in. The sounds of the forest, the hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves sounded to Jack like a convention of hungry monsters. He sat huddled by a fire that Stanley had built using a lighter he had hidden in his sock, clutching his crepe maker like a shield. "Did you hear that?" Jack whispered, his eyes wide. "It was a cricket, Jack," John sighed, "wrapped in 3 blankets. A cricket, or a cricket-sized wolf." The great outdoors experience reached its climax when a raccoon, attracted by the scent of Jack's secret supply of brie, invaded the tent. The resulting chaos involved Jack falling into the fire pit, Stanley hitting himself with a flashlight, and Helen retreating to the Chevy to sleep with the doors locked. By 6 a.m., the survivalists of Flores Street were back on the freeway, heading for the safety of Santa Monica. "Well," Jack said, his face covered in soot and his spirits slightly dampened, "at least we can say we conquered the canyon." "Jack," Jonna said gently, "the canyon didn't even notice we were there. But the laundromat is definitely going to notice your sleeping bag." Chapter 30, The Rivalry of the Trippers. The arrival of a telegram, which felt very old-fashioned even for 1977, threw Jack into a state of visible agitation. It wasn't from a debt collector or a jilted lover. It was from his brother, Leo Tripper. "Leo's coming," Jack squeaked, pacing the living room. Leo the legend. Leo the lion-hearted. Leo who once convinced our parents that he had invented the color blue. "Is he that bad?" John asked, pouring Jack a glass of water to stop him from hyperventilating. "He's perfect, John. He's a successful architect. He's never tripped over a rug in his life. And he can smell weakness from 3 miles away. He thinks I'm a failure because I'm a student at my age." "Well, you are a student, Jack," Chrissy noted. "Yes, but he doesn't need to know that I'm living with 2 beautiful women and pretending to be. Well, he'll think I've lost my mind, or my manhood." The plan, devised with Larry Dallas's dubious help, was to present Jack as the executive chef and owner of a prestigious Santa Monica restaurant. The apartment was staged to look like Jack's bachelor pad, while Jeanne and Chrissy were relegated to the roles of hired domestic help. Leo Tripper arrived wearing a suit that cost more than the apartment's annual rent and a smile that was 10% too bright. He looked around the living room with an air of clinical assessment. "Not bad, Jackie," Leo said, slapping Jack on the back with enough force to send him stumbling. "A bit rustic, but I suppose a chef needs a certain bohemian charm." The evening was a high-wire act of deception. Jack attempted to cook a beef Wellington while Jeanne and Chrissy hovered in the background, wearing aprons and trying not to laugh at Jack's executive persona. The help is a bit informal, isn't it? Leo asked, watching Chrissy attempt to dust a lamp while humming a disco hit. They're from an agency. Jack lied, his voice hitting a frantic tenor. Very high end. They specialize in casual elegance. The dinner was going surprisingly well until Larry Dallas burst in, carrying a bag of burger wrappers and shouting about a hot tip at the dog track. Jack, the fifth race. Speedy Gonzo is a lock, Larry shouted, freezing when he saw the polished Leo. The facade collapsed in spectacular fashion. Within minutes, Leo had deduced the truth. The restaurant was a cooking school. The domestic help were Jack's roommates. And Jack was still the same lovable klutz he had always been. Expect Jack to be crushed. He was surprised when Leo let out a genuine, booming laugh. Jackie, I knew it the moment I saw the domestic help trying to hide their jewelry. Leo grinned. And honestly, I'm impressed. You're living with two gorgeous women in a beach town. I'm stuck in a high-rise in Chicago with a view of a parking garage and a cat that hates me. The brothers spent the rest of the night truly talking for the first time in years. Leo confessed the pressure of being the perfect one, and Jack admitted his fear of never measuring up. As Leo left the next morning, he handed Jack a check. For your restaurant fund, Jackie. Call me when the grand opening happens. I want a table by the window. Jack stood on the landing, watching his brother's sleek car pull away. He felt 10 feet tall. You know, Jack said, turning to Jeanne and Chrissy. I think I'm going to like being a legend one day. You already are, Jack. Jeanne smiled. Just in a different category. Chapter 31, The Booty Blunder. The apartment was usually a place of high energy, but Tuesday morning was unusually quiet. That changed when Stanley Roper came up to fix a suspiciously silent radiator. You kids are too quiet, Stanley grumbled, poking at the pipes. I don't like it. Quiet means you're plotting. Quiet means you're using too much hot water. As he moved a chair, he spotted something tucked behind the sofa cushion. A tiny, whereupon pink baby booty. Stanley's eyes went wide. He picked up the tiny garment with a pair of pliers, holding it as if it were radioactive. Jack Tripper, get out here. Jack stumbled out of the kitchen, flour on his nose. Mr. Roper, is the radiator attacking again? Never mind the radiator. Explain this. Stanley roared, gesturing to the booty. Jack blinked. It's a shoe. A very small shoe. For a person who doesn't do much walking. I know what it is. Who does it belong to? I don't know, Jack said honestly. Stanley's mind, which was a well-oiled machine of conservative suspicion, immediately leapt to the most scandalous